In a quiet part of the universe, the Zorath lived on a beautiful blue planet. They were peaceful beings, known for their kindness and wisdom. Their tall bodies shimmered in the sunlight, and their large eyes sparkled with intelligence.
Our Zorath
Had built a wonderful society filled with art, music, and science. They loved their planet and took care of it like it was a precious gem. But one day, a dark shadow fell over Zorath Prime. A fierce enemy called the Caltherans began to attack. The Caltherans were strong and ruthless. They wanted to take over the Zorath's planet and steal its resources. Zorath fought bravely to protect their home, but they were losing the battle. Their weapons were not strong enough, and their enemies were many. In their time of need, Zorath made a decision. They would reach out to other worlds for help. They had heard stories about a planet called Earth, where strange and bold beings lived. These beings were called humans. The Zorath believed that the humans might be able to help them, so they sent a message into the stars, hoping someone would hear it back on Earth. A small team of scientists and military leaders gathered in a large room. They looked at each other with curiosity and concern. The message from the Zorath had arrived, but it was unlike anything they had ever seen. Dr. Lisa Morgan, an astrobiologist, studied the message closely. She was excited but also worried. "Captain Carter, what do you think?" she asked, glancing at the man sitting at the head of the table. Captain Ben Carter was a strong and determined leader. He had seen many battles in his career, but this was different. He leaned forward, his brow furrowed in thought. "We need to take this seriously," he said. "If the Zorath are asking for help, it means they are in real danger. We cannot ignore their plea." His voice was firm, and everyone in the room nodded in agreement as they discussed the situation. Sam Turner, a skilled engineer, spoke up. "What if we send a team to help them? We could learn about their technology and help them defend their planet." His eyes sparkled with excitement at the idea of space travel and adventure. Mia Lewis, a communications expert, added, "We should find out more about the Caltherans. If we understand their strengths and weaknesses, we can better prepare to assist the Zorath." The team agreed that gathering information was vital. After several hours of discussion, the group decided to act. They would form a coalition to help the Zorath. Governments around the world were contacted, and they all agreed to support the mission. Scientists and military personnel came together to create a plan. They would build a spaceship capable of traveling to the Zorath's planet. Weeks passed as the team worked hard. The spaceship, named the Horizon, began to take shape. It was a large, sleek vessel designed for deep space travel. Ben oversaw the construction, making sure everything was ready for the journey. Lisa worked with scientists to study the Zorath's technology and culture. Finally, the day arrived when the Horizon was ready for launch. The crew gathered at the launch site, filled with excitement and nerves. Ben stood in front of them, his face serious yet encouraging. "Today, we are not just going to help an alien race. We are going to show what humanity can do when we come together. Let's make our world proud." Lisa looked around at her teammates. She felt a mix of fear and hope. They were about to travel to a distant planet and face unknown challenges. But she believed in their mission. They were going to help the Zora. As the countdown began, the crew strapped themselves into their seats. The engines roared to life, and the ship shook slightly. With a loud blast, the Horizon shot into the sky, leaving Earth behind. The crew watched as the blue planet became smaller and smaller until it was just a tiny dot in the vastness of space. The journey was long. As they traveled, the crew spent time getting to know each other. Ben shared stories of his time in the military, while Lisa talked about her research on alien life. Sam shared his dreams of building advanced technology, and Mia discussed the importance of communication in every culture. Days turned into weeks as they traveled through the stars. The ship glided smoothly through the darkness, guided by the stars and the knowledge of the crew. They faced many challenges along the way, such as navigating through asteroid fields and dealing with technical malfunctions. Each challenge brought them closer together, and they learned to trust each other. One evening, as they floated through space, Lisa gathered the crew in the common area. She held a holographic projector that displayed images of the Zorath's planet. "Look at this place," she said, pointing to the beautiful landscapes filled with lush forests and sparkling waters. "This is what we are fighting for. This is what we must protect." The crew stared at the images, feeling a sense of purpose. They were not just going to help aliens, they were going to defend a whole world and its people. Ben nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. "We will do everything we can to help them. We cannot let the Caltharans win." Finally, after many weeks of travel, the horizon approached Zoroth Prime. As they entered the planet's atmosphere, the crew looked out the windows in awe. The planet was more beautiful than they had imagined. Vast oceans stretched across the surface, and green mountains rose high into the sky. The colors were vibrant, and the air was filled with the scent of alien flowers. As they landed, the crew felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. They were about to meet the Zorath for the first time. They stepped out of the ship and were greeted by the alien leaders, who stood tall and graceful. The Zorath's skin shimmered in the sunlight, and their large eyes were filled with hope and gratitude. "Thank you for coming," one of the Zorath leaders said. "We did not expect humans to answer our call. We are in great need." The words echoed in the air, and the crew felt a sense of pride. They had come to help. Now they would begin their mission to save a race in danger. The Zorath led the crew through their beautiful city, showing them their advanced technology and culture. Lisa was fascinated by everything she saw. The Zorath had created amazing inventions, but they needed help to defend themselves against the Caltharans. As they learned more about the Zorath and their struggles, the crew felt the weight of their mission. They had come to help, and now they were determined to find a way to turn the tide against the invading Caltharans. The future of the Zorath depended on them, and they were ready for the challenge ahead. After landing on Zoroth Prime, the crew of the Horizon felt a rush of excitement. They were ready to help the Zoroth fight against the Caltharans. Captain Ben Carter stood with the Zoroth leaders in a large hall made of shimmering crystals. Walls sparkled like stars, and the air was filled with a sweet scent from the flowers that grew around them. The Zoroth leader, who introduced himself as Zorik, looked serious. "We are grateful you have come to help us," he said. "But time is short. The Caltharans will attack again soon. We need a plan." Ben nodded, feeling the weight of the situation. "We will do everything we can to assist you. But first, we need to understand your enemy better. Can you tell us more about the Caltharans?" Zorik nodded and motioned for his fellow Zorath to join them. A tall Zorath named Lyra stepped forward. "The Caltharans are cruel and powerful. They have advanced weapons and a large army. They do not care for life. Their only goal is to conquer and destroy." Lyra explained how the Caltharans had invaded Zoroth Prime months earlier. They had come in ships that looked like dark clouds, raining down destruction on the Zoroth cities. The Zorath had fought bravely, but their weapons were not strong enough against the Caltharan technology. As Lyra spoke, Lisa Morgan listened carefully. She thought about how the Zorath could use their unique abilities in the fight. "Do you have any special powers?" she asked. "Is there something about your biology that can help us?" Lyra smiled slightly. "We can heal quickly and manipulate energy. We can create barriers of energy to protect ourselves, but we have never used this ability in battle. We need guidance." Ben turned to Lisa. "Maybe we can train them to use their abilities for defense and offense. If we can combine our strengths, we might stand a chance against the Caltharans." The Zoroth leaders agreed. They were eager to learn from the humans. The crew spent the next few days working alongside the Zorath. Ben and Lisa taught them how to create energy shields and how to use their healing abilities to help injured soldiers. Sam Turner worked on improving the Zoroth's technology. He showed them how to enhance their weapons using human engineering techniques. Together, they rebuilt old weapons and made them stronger. Sam was excited to be part of this new alliance, and the Zorath were impressed by his skills. Mia used her communication expertise to help the Zorath send messages to their allies on other planets. They needed support from other races that were also threatened by the Caltharans. Mia worked late into the night, making sure every message was clear and urgent. As the training progressed, the Zorath began to feel more confident. They practiced, creating energy barriers and using their enhanced weapons. The humans watched with pride as the Zoroth grew stronger each day. The bond between the two groups deepened, and they began to see each other not just as allies, but as friends. One afternoon, the crew gathered for a meeting to discuss their progress. Ben stood in front of the group, looking at the Zorath and his crew. "We have made great strides in a short time. The Zorath are learning quickly, and I believe we can take the fight to the Caltharans." Lisa raised her hand. "Before we move forward, I want to ensure the Zoroth are ready. We should conduct a training exercise. Nice. This will help us see how well they can use their abilities in a real situation." Zarek agreed. "That is a good idea. We want to be prepared. But we will do our best to show you what we can do." The next day, the crew set up a training exercise in a large open field near the Zoroth city. They marked out areas for each team and explained the exercise. The Zoroth would simulate a Caltharan attack, while the humans would help guide them. Through the strategy, as the exercise began, the Zoroth transformed into fierce warriors. They practiced using their energy shields to protect themselves as the humans simulated attacks. Ben and Lisa shouted instructions, encouraging the Zoroth to work together. The Zoroth quickly learned how to coordinate their movements, creating a united front against the imaginary threat. Sam observed closely, noting how the Zoroth used their powers to create barriers and heal each other when they were hit. He felt a sense of pride watching them grow stronger and more confident. This was not just a mission anymore, it was a partnership. After the exercise, the crew gathered to discuss what they had learned. "You all did amazing," Ben said, smiling. "You showed great teamwork and skill. I believe you are ready for the real battle." Lyra looked at Ben, her eyes shining with determination. "We will not let you down. We will fight for our planet and for our new friends." As the days passed, the Zoroth continued to train hard. They worked late into the night, practicing their new skills and preparing for the upcoming battle. The humans also prepared, ensuring their technology was ready and their strategies were solid. However, the sense of urgency grew as the Caltharan fleet was spotted approaching Zoroth Prime. The crew received reports that the Caltharans were planning a large-scale attack. Ben called for an emergency meeting with the Zoroth leaders and his crew. "We have to act quickly," Ben said, his voice steady. "If we wait too long, the Caltharans will overrun us. We need a solid plan for the defense of your cities." Zarek nodded in agreement. "We will defend our home. We have prepared for this moment, and we will not back down." Lisa suggested, "Let's use the knowledge we have gained. We can set up traps and ambush points around the city. We can also use the energy barriers to protect key areas." The team worked through the night, creating a detailed plan for the defense. They positioned the Zoroth warriors in strategic locations and set up traps around the city's perimeter. The humans and Zoroth worked together seamlessly, each contributing their strengths. As dawn broke, the atmosphere was tense. The crew of the Horizon stood ready, alongside their Zoroth allies. They watched as the Caltharan ships appeared in the sky, darkening the horizon. Ben felt a mix of fear and determination. This was the moment they had been preparing for, and they were ready to fight. The Zoroth warriors took their positions, their energy shields glowing brightly. Ben rallied his crew, reminding them of the bond they had formed with the Zoroth. "Fight for each other today. Together, we will protect this world." As the Caltharan ships descended, the Zoroth and humans stood united, ready to face the challenge ahead. The time for action had come, and they would not back down. Together, they prepared to defend Zoroth's Prime and fight for the future of two worlds. The morning sun rose over Zoroth Prime, casting a warm glow on the city, but the atmosphere was tense. The Caltharan fleet hovered above, ready to attack. Captain Ben Carter stood on the balcony of the command center, looking out at the sky filled with enemy ships. He felt a wave of determination wash over him. Today would be a test of their strength and unity. Inside the command center, the crew and the Zoroth leaders gathered around a large holographic display. The map showed the city and the positions of the Caltheran ships. Ben pointed to the screen. We need to stay focused. Our strategy is simple. We will use energy barriers to protect key locations and ambush the Caltherans when they land. Lisa. Morgan, standing beside him, added the Zorith can create energy shields at strategic points. We will lure the Caltherans into our traps and take them by surprise. Zarek, the Zorith leader, nodded. We have trained hard for this moment. We are ready to fight for our home and for you, our friends. As the crew prepared for battle, Mia Lewis checked the communication systems. We need to stay in contact. During the fight, I will set up communication links between all teams, she said, her fingers flying over the controls. Sam Turner finished working on the upgraded weapons. He handed one to Lyra. This will give you more power. Use it wisely, he said, feeling proud of their teamwork. The Zorith warriors looked ready. They wore their battle gear, which glimmered in the sunlight. Ben felt a sense of pride as he saw them prepared to defend their planet. Suddenly, the alarms began to sound. The Caltheran ships were descending. The time to fight had come. Ben gathered. Everyone in the command center. Remember, we are fighting for a cause greater than ourselves. We'll protect Zoroth Prime together. Let's show the Calthorans what we can do. As the Caltheran ships landed, the crew and the Zorith warriors took their positions. Ben gave the signal and they activated the energy barriers. The glowing shields rose around the key areas of the city, creating a protective dome. The ground shook as Caltheran soldiers began to pour out of their ships. They were tall and menacing, wearing dark armor that covered their bodies. Their weapons crackled with energy, ready to unleash destruction. Ben watched as the Caltherans advanced toward the city. He felt his heart race, but he knew they were. Ready? Hold your ground, he shouted to the Zoroth warriors. Wait for my command.
Yes.
As the Caltherans approached, the Zorith warriors stood firm behind their energy barriers. Ben could see the fear in their eyes, but he also saw their determination. They would not back down. Suddenly, the Caltherans opened fire. Energy blasts filled the air, hitting the energy barriers. The shields flickered but held strong. Ben felt a surge of hope. They had prepared well. Now, he shouted. The Zorith warriors sprang into action. They pushed forward, using their energy manipulation abilities to create shields and barriers. The humans followed closely, firing their upgraded weapons at the Caltherans. The battle erupted into chaos. The sound of energy blasts and shouts filled the air. Ben fought alongside Lyra, who was using her energy powers to shield them from incoming fire. She created a barrier just in time to block a Caltheran blast aimed at them. Great job, Ben shouted, feeling a rush of adrenaline. Could see the Caltherans struggling against the combined forces of humans and Zorath. They were outnumbered, but the Zorith fought fiercely. Lisa led a group of Zorith warriors to flank the Caltherans from the side. She shouted instructions, guiding them as they moved through the battlefield. Together they launched a surprise attack, catching the Caltherans off guard. Meanwhile, Sam was stationed at a high point, using a modified weapon to pick off Caltheran soldiers. He aimed carefully, squeezing the trigger and watching as energy blasts struck their targets. He felt a sense of pride knowing his work was making a difference. As the battle raged on, the Zorath began to feel more confident. They worked together. Using their abilities to create energy shields and heal their injured, humans and Zorith fought side by side, united in their purpose. Suddenly, a loud explosion rocked the battlefield. A Caltheran ship had been hit, and it crashed to the ground, sending debris flying. Ben and Lyra shielded themselves as the wreckage landed nearby. We need to keep pushing forward, Ben shouted, rallying the fighters. The Zoroth warriors charged ahead, their energy shields glowing brightly. They worked together to push back the Caltherans, who were starting to falter under the pressure. The tide of the battle was turning. Just when they thought they were gaining the upper hand, a larger Caltheran ship appeared above them. It fired down powerful blasts, targeting the Zorith warriors. Ben felt a chill run down his spine. This was the main ship of the Caltherans, and it was a formidable enemy. Focus fire on that ship, Ben commanded. We need to take it down. The crew and Zorath concentrated their attacks on the larger ship, but it was heavily armored and difficult. To penetrate, Mia worked frantically to keep everyone connected. We need to coordinate our attacks. If we hit it from different angles, we might find a weak spot, she shouted through the comms. Ben nodded, using his communicator to relay orders. Everyone, follow Mia's lead. We will divide into teams and attack from all sides. We can do this together. The crew split into groups, moving quickly to surround the Caltheran ship. They fired their weapons, and Lyra used her energy manipulation to create a massive barrier that reflected some of the blasts. From the enemy ship back at it, the battle continued for what felt like hours. The Zorath pushed forward, their determination, growing stronger with each victory. They were no longer just defending, or fighting for their freedom and their home. Finally, after a series of coordinated strikes, the Caltheran ship began to weaken. Ben could see smoke rising from its hull, and the energy shields flickered. Now is our chance. Give it everything you've got, he shouted. With a final push, the combined forces of humans and Zorath unleashed a powerful attack. Energy blasts filled the air, striking the ship from all directions. With a deafening roar, the ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light, sending shockwaves across the battlefield. The Caltherans, seeing their main ship destroyed, began to retreat. The Zorath and humans cheered, feeling a rush of victory. They had fought bravely and had won a significant battle. As the dust settled, Ben gathered his crew and the Zorath leaders. We did it together, he said, his voice filled with pride. This victory is just the beginning. We will continue to fight until Zoroth is safe. Zorok stepped forward, gratitude shining in his eyes. You have shown us the strength of unity. We are forever grateful for your help. The crew shared smiles and cheers, knowing that they had created a powerful bond. They were not just allies. They were friends who had fought together and won. But Ben knew the fight was not over. The Caltherans would not give up easily. They needed to stay vigilant and prepare for the battles yet to come. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, united in their mission to protect Zoroth Prime. After the battle, the city of Zoroth Prime was filled with a mix of joy and relief. The Zoroth had won a significant victory against the Caltherans, but they knew the fight was not over. Captain Ben Carter stood on a balcony overlooking the city. Feeling a rush of pride, they had come together as one, humans and Zorath, and achieved something remarkable. As the sun set, Ben gathered his crew and the Zorath leaders in the command center. The atmosphere was tense, but there was also a sense of hope. We have fought bravely, but we cannot let our guard down, Ben said. The Caltherans will return, and we need to be ready. Adak, the Zorath leader, nodded in agreement. Must plan our next steps carefully. We've learned from this battle, but there is still much to do. Lisa Morgan, standing beside Ben, added, we need to strengthen our defenses and gather more intelligence. If we understand the Caltherans better, we can prepare for their next attack, Mia Lewis suggested. We should also reach out to our allies in the galaxy. If we can unite other races against the Caltherans, we will have a better chance of winning. The crew and the Zoroth leaders discussed strategies late into the night. They shared ideas and experiences, working together to create a solid plan. Sam Turner suggested improving their weapons and technology, while Lyra shared insights on Zorath healing abilities that could aid in future battles as they worked. The bond between the humans and Zorath grew stronger. They were not just allies. They were becoming a family. Each person contributed their skills and knowledge, creating a sense of unity that fueled their determination. The next morning, Ben and the crew set out to strengthen the city's defenses. Together with the Zorath, they built energy barriers around key locations and set up watchtowers to monitor for any signs of Caltheran activity. They worked tirelessly, knowing that every moment counted. As the days passed, the Zorath warriors trained hard, honing their skills in combat and energy manipulation. Ben and Lisa led the training sessions, pushing them to become even stronger. The Zorath showed impressive growth, and soon they were able to combine their abilities with human tactics seamlessly. One afternoon, while they were training, Mia received a message from the coalition of allies they had reached out to. We have responses from several races willing to help, she said excitedly. They want to send ships and soldiers to join our fight against the Calthrons. Ben felt a surge of hope. This is great news. If we can unite with other races, we will have a much better chance of defeating the Calthrons. As the allies began to arrive, the atmosphere in Zorath Prime changed. The city was alive with energy and excitement. Soldiers from different races mingled with the Zorath and humans, sharing stories and strategies. This diversity brought a new strength to their cause. One day, a group of warriors from a nearby planet known as the Therans arrived. They were strong and skilled fighters, known for their bravery in battle. Their leader, a tall Theran named Kira, approached Ben. "We have heard of your fight against the Calthrons. It is an honor to stand with you." Ben welcomed Kira and her warriors, feeling grateful for their support. "Together, we will show the Calthrons that they cannot take our homes. We will fight for freedom." As the weeks went by, training continued, and the forces grew stronger. They practiced together, learning from each other. The humans taught the Zorath and Therans about human military tactics, while the Zorath shared their energy manipulation techniques. They became a united front, ready to face the enemy. One evening, as they gathered around a fire, Ben shared stories of Earth and its history. The Zorath and Therans listened intently, fascinated by the tales of courage and resilience they shared. Their own stories of battles fought and victories won, creating a bond of shared experiences. But amidst the camaraderie, Ben could not shake the feeling of unease. He knew the Calthrons would not be idle. They would plan their next move, and it would likely be a brutal attack. He shared his concerns with Lisa. "We need to be prepared for anything," he said. "We must anticipate the Calthrons' next moves and adapt our strategies accordingly." Lisa agreed. "We could set up reconnaissance missions to gather information on their movements. If we know their plans, we can counter them effectively." With that in mind, Ben and Lisa organized small teams to scout the area and keep an eye on Caltheran activity. They equipped the teams with advanced technology and energy shields to protect them during their missions. Days turned into weeks as they trained and prepared. The atmosphere in Zorath Prime was filled with determination and hope. The Zoroth, humans, and their new allies were ready to fight for their freedom. One day, during a routine reconnaissance mission, a team of Zoroth and humans spotted Caltheran ships gathering in the distance. They were larger and more menacing than the previous fleet. The team quickly reported back to Ben in the command center. "This is it," Ben said, his heart racing. "The Calthrons are planning a major attack. We need to gather everyone in. Prepare for battle." The news spread quickly through Zorath Prime. The warriors gathered, ready to defend their home once more. Ben stood before them, his voice steady. "We have trained hard and we have grown stronger together. This is our moment to show the Calthrons that we will not back down. We fight for our freedom, our families, and our future." The warriors shouted in agreement, their spirits lifted by Ben's words. They took their positions around the city, ready to defend against the incoming Caltheran forces. As the Caltheran ships approached, the tension in the air was palpable. The Zorath warriors activated their energy barriers, and the humans prepared their weapons. Ben felt a mix of fear and determination, knowing that this battle would be crucial. "Remember our training," he shouted to the troops. "Stay focused and work together. We will protect Zoros Prime." The Calthron ships descended, and the battle began. Energy blasts filled the air, and the ground shook as the two sides clashed. The Zorath and humans fought bravely, defending their city against the overwhelming force of the Calthor Ans. As the battle raged on, Ben fought alongside his Zorath friends. They moved as one, pushing back the enemy and showing them the strength of their unity. With each victory, the warriors felt their confidence grow. But the Calthrons were relentless. They pushed forward, determined to conquer Zorath Prime. Ben knew they needed to change their strategy. "We must flank them," shouted. "Let's divide into smaller teams and attack from different angles." The warriors quickly moved into position, executing Ben's plan. They surrounded the Calthrons, catching them off guard. With fierce determination, they fought back, pushing the enemy further from the city. The tide of the battle began to turn, the Calthrons realizing They were losing ground, started to retreat. The Zorath and humans cheered, feeling a surge of victory. But just as they thought they had one, a Caltheran commander appeared, larger and more fearsome than any they had seen before, roared in anger, rallying his troops for one last push. Ben felt a chill run down his spine. They had to stop this commander to secure their victory. "We need to take him down," he shouted. "Everyone, focus your fire on that commander." The warriors joined forces, firing their weapons and creating energy barriers to protect each other. Together, they launched a final attack, determined to defeat the Caltheran commander and secure their freedom. With a powerful blast, the combined forces struck the commander. He staggered back, and for a moment, it seemed like victory was within their grasp. The Caltheran soldiers began to panic, and with one final push, the Zorath and humans drove them back. As the dust settled, the Zorath and humans stood together, victorious. They had defended Zorath Prime and shown the Caltherans that they would not be defeated. Ben looked around at his friends, feeling a deep sense of pride. They had fought together and won. The bond between the Zorath and humans had grown even stronger, and they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Together, they would continue to protect Zorath Prime and ensure their future was bright. After the battle, Zorath Prime was filled with celebration. Zorath and their human allies had fought bravely and won a significant victory against the Caltherans. The streets were alive with noise and joy as the people cheered for their heroes. Captain Ben Carter stood among them, feeling a mix of pride and relief. They had faced great danger and emerged victorious. But he knew their fight was not over. As night fell, the leaders gathered in the command center to discuss the next steps. Ben looked around at his friends and allies. "We have shown the Caltherans that we will not be defeated. But we cannot let our guard down. They may regroup and attack again." Zarek the Zorath leader nodded. "We must remain vigilant. The Caltherans will not give up easily, and we need to prepare for their next move." Lisa Morgan added, "We should use this time to strengthen our defenses even more. We can improve our weapons and technology and train harder." Mia Lewis spoke up. "We should also send messages to our allies. They need to know we are ready to fight again if necessary. We can unite even more races against the Caltherans." The crew set to work, knowing they had to act quickly. They began by reinforcing the energy barriers around the city. Sam Turner and the Zorath engineers worked together to upgrade their weapons, making them more powerful and effective against the Calthorians. As they worked, the bond between the humans and the Zorath deepened, shared ideas and knowledge. Learning from each other, Ben felt a sense of pride as he watched them collaborate. They were not just allies. They were friends who had come together to protect their homes. Days passed, and the atmosphere in Zorath Prime began to change. The people were no longer just celebrating their victory. They were preparing for the future. The warriors trained, harder than ever, determined to be ready for whatever the Caltherans would throw at them. One day, while training, a Zorath warrior approached Ben. "We have been discussing our future strategies," she said. "We want to take the fight to the Caltherans. We cannot wait for them to attack again. We must show them that we will not back down." Ben considered her words. "That is a bold plan, but we need to know more about their forces. If we go on the offensive, we must be prepared." The Zorath warrior nodded. "We can send scouts to gather information on Caltheran positions. We need to understand their numbers and their plans." Ben agreed, and they quickly organized a scouting mission. A team of Zorath and humans set out to observe the Caltheran forces. They moved quickly and quietly, using their skills to stay hidden. The team returned a few days later with valuable information. "The Caltherans are regrouping," one of the scouts reported. "They have brought in more ships and reinforcements. They plan to attack again soon." Ben felt a mix of concern and determination. "We need to act fast. We cannot let them catch us off guard. We must prepare for their next attack and strike when the time is right." The crew and Zorath leaders gathered, again to discuss their strategy. They knew they could not let the Caltherans take control of Zorath Prime. "We have the advantage of knowing their plans," Ben said. "Let's use that to our benefit." We will set traps and ambush points around our city to catch them by surprise. Lyra, a skilled Zoroth warrior, suggested, "We can use our energy barriers to create false defenses. If we draw the Caltharans into a trap, we can hit them hard when they least expect it." Agreed on the plan, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. They worked tirelessly to set up the ambush points and traps around the city. Every warrior, human and Zorath alike, contributed to the preparation. As the day of the potential attack approached, tension hung in the air. The warriors gathered for a final meeting. Ben stood before them, looking into the faces of his friends and allies. "This is it. We have trained hard, and we know our enemy. Together, we will protect Zoroth Prime." The warriors shouted in agreement, their spirits high. They were ready to face the Caltharans again, determined to show their strength. That night, the stars shone brightly over Zoroth Prime. The warriors took their positions, preparing for the battle to come. Ben felt a mix of excitement and nervousness as he waited. He knew that they had to stay focused and work together to succeed. As dawn broke, the sound of Caltharan ships filled the air. The warriors took their positions, ready to spring into action. As the Caltharan ships descended, Ben could see the enemy soldiers preparing to land. "Now," Ben shouted, signaling the attack. Out! The Zoroth warriors activated their energy barriers, creating a protective shield around the city. The Caltharans landed, and the battle began. The fighting was fierce. Energy blasts filled the air as the two sides clashed. The Zoroth and humans fought side by side, using their combined strength to push back the Caltharans. Ben felt a surge of adrenaline as he fought alongside Lyra, their energy shields working in perfect harmony. As the battle raged on, the Caltharans began to realize they were being drawn into a trap. They struggled against the Zoroth warriors, but the ambush was working. The Zoroth used their energy manipulation skills to create barriers and heal their injured comrades. Mia coordinated the troops, shouting instructions over the comms. "Keep pushing them back. We have them surrounded." Her voice rang with confidence, and the warriors felt their spirits lift. Suddenly, a loud explosion rocked the battlefield. A Caltharan ship had been hit, and it began to crash to the ground. The Zoroth and humans cheered, feeling the tide of battle turning in their favor. But just as victory seemed within reach, a figure emerged from the chaos. It was the Caltharan commander, larger and more fearsome than before. He roared in anger, rallying his troops for one last desperate charge. Ben felt a chill run down his spine. They had to stop this commander to secure their victory. "Focus your fire on that commander," shouted. The warriors joined forces, firing their weapons and creating energy barriers to protect each other. Together, they launched a final attack, determined to defeat the Caltharan commander and secure their freedom. With a powerful blast, the combined forces struck the commander. He staggered back, and for a moment it seemed like victory was within their grasp. The Caltharan soldiers began to panic, and with one final push, the Zorath and humans drove them back. As the dust settled, the Zorath and humans stood together, victorious once again. They had defended Zorath Prime and shown the Caltharans that they would not be defeated. Ben looked around at his friends, feeling a deep sense of pride. They had fought together and won. The bond between the Zoroth and humans had grown even stronger, and they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Together, they would continue to protect Zoroth Prime and ensure their future was bright. In the days that followed, the Zoroth and their human allies celebrated their victory. They honored their fallen comrades and shared stories of courage and bravery. The bond they had formed was unbreakable, and they knew they could face any challenge together. Ben looked at the Zoroth and smiled. They had not only saved a planet, but had also created a lasting friendship. As they looked to the future, they knew that their fight for freedom was just beginning, and they would face it together, united in their cause.